Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of My Chronic Life. I first want to apologize for the gap in posting, and I want to apologize for the episode I uploaded that actually says Jen's Musings rather than My Chronic Life. I mixed them up some kind of way. Either in recording, I said the wrong podcast, or actually posted the wrong episode. Either way, I am very sorry. And I am sorry for the gap, but I've been sick and struggling with work and having flare ups, and I had COVID at one point, and it's just been a lot. And so I do apologize for the gap in my posting. I do plan to be much more regular going forward, hopefully once a week. So this is my welcome back video, and I want to get into some things about working with chronic illness, especially if you have a job that's very demanding and toxic. So I have worked for almost 3 years at a hotel, and we had two management companies. The first one is the one that originally hired me, and they were very good about how they treated their disabled employees or their any of their employees that were sick or had any kind of chronic illnesses or mental illnesses or whatever. They were very good about how they treated their employees. And they did not believe in penalizing employees for needing to take time off if they were sick or hurt or whatnot, or in pain from a chronic illness and couldn't get out of bed, any of that stuff. And they didn't believe in holding it against an employee because they needed adjustments for the job to be able to do the job with their illness or disability or whatnot. So I was able to sit down and rest my feet whenever I needed to. I was able to, when the assistant general manager was working, I was able to bring a stool behind the desk and work seated. When the general manager was there, he preferred that I didn't bring the stool behind the desk, but I could still go sit on it at the little bar in front of the gift shop where they're lined up at. And so I did that when he was there. But I was always allowed to go sit down and rest my feet for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever when I got to hurting or my back. And they were good about breaks. They were good about rest breaks, lunch breaks, and everything. And they had enough staff where one staff member could stay at the desk and the other could go take their break. And so I didn't have to worry about leaving the desk unattended to go take care of my needs. And then the next management company took over, and it was not so much. They were not as good about sick or disabled employees. They were not very good about breaks or having enough staff or any of those things. And so there were a lot of times where I had to leave the desk unattended to go to the bathroom or go and sit down and rest when I was in pain or dizzy or something, or if I had to go eat or if I had to go get something to drink or any of that stuff like that. If I needed to sit down, they were not as good about allowing that. They wanted you to stand up all the time, and they weren't very good about adjusting expectations and like accommodating their disabled employees as much. And it got to the point where I did in fact have to file not one but two EEOC claims. I am in the second one now. I had to file one in 2023, 2024, end of 2023, beginning of 2024. I had to file the first one. Anyway, so they were not very good with accommodations and like allowing me my accommodations and adjusting things so that accommodation could be a thing. I had to fight for them. I had to get letters from my doctors. Like I said, I had to file that claim. And I was constantly explaining what and why and reminding them of the Americans with Disabilities Act and all of these things in order to have my accommodations. And even in one of the hardest times in my life, which was also occurring during one of the busiest times for the hotel, that I was denied my cane, and I had to get a doctor's note, which I was told by the doctors themselves that I did not need a doctor's note since I was the one who got the cane myself. And then I preemptively got one for when I got my walker from a rummage sale. My boyfriend bought it at his job. He had at the time. But anyway, so I have the walker now, and I do have a letter in the office at work that states I can use that walker as it's meant to be used, as I need it at my job. I can rest when I need to. I can go hydrate when I need to. I can take my meds when I need to. Take a meal break when I need to. All of these things, and I am allowed to sit on that walker and work. I'm allowed to use it to walk around, and I'm allowed to use it as it is meant to be, as I need it at work. So They still want to fight me on some of it. They will say stand up and help the guests. I don't have to do that. And then they will try to expect me to do things that I cannot do with my walker. For example, trying to get the boxes of chips from under a big tall stack of heavy boxes that the supply companies guys that, you know, drove the truck and delivered the stuff, that they stacked it up the way they stacked it was bad because they had the chips at the bottom and a bunch of heavy stuff at the top, which, like, our chips were going to get smushed. But yeah, I don't know why they set it up like that, and I couldn't get the chips out. The boxes were stacked above my head, and they were heavy boxes that were above my head. There was no way I could do that. I was not obligated to do that, and it was beyond my capabilities to be able to do that because, one, I'm short and it was above my head. Two, the things were heavy, and I'm not supposed to move heavy things from above my head, per my doctor, because of my health condition. So I could easily injure my back doing that, so I was not allowed. And so it's just been a whole lot of fight and battle. My job is pretty toxic. It's very, very understaffed, and this puts a lot of strain and demand on the employees. And when you already have a lot of demands on you because you have chronic illnesses, that just compounds the problem by like tenfold. And so for me, it's not just, oh, my job is hard. It's not just, oh, I have these chronic illnesses and those are hard. It's my chronic illnesses are already so hard. I'm putting forth 10 times the effort to do the simple things that people who don't have any disabilities or don't need mobility aids do without even thinking about it. Like, these things are pretty automatic if you don't have a disability. But for me, it takes 10 times as much effort to do the thing. It's not a lazy thing. It's literally that much harder because of the pain in my body, the fatigue I get from my conditions, from all of the dizziness and balance issues and other things that it causes, that these symptoms that I have from it, they make it harder, like 10 times harder to do the simplest thing that is barely even hard for somebody who doesn't have chronic illness. Like, getting dressed for me is a workout. Like, think about how you would feel how a regular able-bodied person would feel going to the gym. You'd be tired, you'd be a little wore out, be out of breath a little, it would be, a little hard on your body, might be a little sore. I get that from getting dressed for work or getting dressed to go run errands. That I get it from that. Then I've done that. Now I've got to go make sure I have the things I need to take to work, that they're in my work bag. I have to make sure that the bag on my walker, that I have my meds and the things that I need in there, and that, my phone and stuff is in my purse. The things I need are in my purse. My inhalers and all of those things are in my purse. I have to make sure my stuff is ready. Now that's, I'm walking around my house. That's like probably the amount of effort you would likely take straightening your house up a little bit. Then I have to put my shoes and socks on, which is another whole, bit of working out. Then I have to put my coat and stuff on and go down my steps to my front door to get in my ride to go to work. That requires my walker, my backpack, my purse. I have to put on coats first, and then I have to put the purse over me, and then I have to put the backpack on my back, and I have to push the walker, and then I have to lock my doors, and I have to push my walker down the hall, and I have to open that door, and then I have to get down all them steps, get to my front door, open the first front door, open the second front door, and then get to the front. Then I have to get in the ride. Then when I get to work, I have to get out of the ride. Then I have to go walk to the office, take off my backpack, hang up my coat, take off the backpack and the purse, and then hang up my coat, and the purse is on my walker, and the backpack, I gotta put that on the desk. Then I have to go from that office clear across the hall, like I am walking 4 blocks to go clock in. Like 3 or 4 city blocks, it feels like. No less than 2 city blocks is what that feels like to cross that hotel, if not 3 or 4. So I have to do that, get to the clock in, and then I have to cross those same several city blocks worth of space to get back to the front desk, and I have to be up there on time. And I have to get the folder I use for work and my checklists, two folders, for, because I have some reports I do that in the office that I leave that one in there, and then I have the one that I bring to the front desk with my notes and stuff in it, and then my checklists, I have to get that. Now I'm working. And as you can see, I did a bunch of things before I even worked. And all of those things took a bunch of effort before I even started my shift. And for other people, that's not as much effort and it's not as much steps and it's not as much to do as it is for me or anybody else with chronic illness or disabilities. And even the act of going to the bathroom takes extra effort when you have chronic illness and need a mobility aid, because you have to take that mobility aid to the bathroom with you. You have to get it to the bathroom door. You have to maneuver it around so you can use it to help you sit down on the toilet. And this is before you even sit down, maneuver it around and sit down on the toilet. You have to open your clothes. Then maneuver yourself around to the toilet, get them out of your way, and then sit on the toilet using the mobility aid. And then you do your thing. Then you have to use it to get back up off the toilet, close up your clothes. You have to get back out of the stall. You have to get to the sink and wash your hands. You have to dry your hands. And then you have to get out of the bathroom. And the door is not power assist or automatic. So you have to literally pull that door while maneuvering your mobility aid with your other hand, get through the door, get past this fountain that's too close to the bathroom door, and then cross the hotel all the way to the front desk. Like, it's a lot. And even at my house, it's a lot because I have to get up, get my walker into my bathroom, maneuver around, do the whole thing to be ready to use the toilet, get back up, fix myself up so I can leave the bathroom. And then, it's a lot for no reason. And then I'm expected to do things like move heavy coffee urns, move heavy cases of sodas and waters and chips and crap like that. So it's now I'm having to go find a cart, get the thing, get the coffee urns or get the sodas from the dry storage. And then I had to find the cart in the first place. Then I have to go to the dry storage. Then I have to get the item I needed from the dry storage, or I have to get the coffee off of the coffee maker. Then I have to move that cart all the way to the front and put the coffee, either put the coffee on the coffee bar or put the stuff in the gift shop, whichever one I got. And then I have to put the cart back and get my walker and come back to the front desk again. Now, I just walked to the front desk, from the front desk to the kitchen, or dry storage 3 or 4 times just to do that. And that's a lot. That's a lot. And again, I said our lobby is 224 city blocks across to do this. That's the distance you're walking back and forth across the lobby to do this. 2 to 4 city blocks per trip. So that's 2 to 4 to get from the front desk to the kitchen, 2 to 4 to get from the kitchen to the front desk. And then you have to do that trip again to bring the cart, put it away, and get your walker and bring your walker back to the front desk. That's a lot. That's a lot. Just to do something simple like stock the gift shop. I mean, seriously. Or make coffee. And this is the entirety of my work shift, is doing things that are simple for the rest of my coworkers that are absolutely an ordeal, absolutely a workout, absolutely a lot of work for me. And I don't drive, so going to work and going home from work is Lyft or Uber, public transportation, or a ride from my boyfriend or one of my other loved ones. So I depend on other people for my transportation. This is hard because you can easily be late because of somebody else. Between that and the fact that you have a mobility aid that you have to get in and out of this person's car, can easily be late because that other person took too long to get where you were to pick you up and then get you to your destination. So it's a lot that goes into just getting to and from work with a chronic illness that disables you to where you need a mobility aid. And even if you have the chronic illness and you don't necessarily need the mobility aid, just having the chronic illness and the symptoms it causes makes it this much of a thing for you to go to work and go home. And then if you don't drive on top of that, it's even worse. And then when you have toxic a toxic job and toxic like bosses and toxic coworkers, that just makes it even worse. And when you have coworkers that do things like use the cart to move the trash, the coffee cart, the ones that we use for coffee and breakfast and the gift shop's food, and they use that to move a trash bag, and they leave it by the door where the dumpster is, like they just shove it back inside the hotel after they're done taking the trash to the dumpster, just shove it inside the hotel and go home, and it's sitting behind by the back door, and you have to go all the way across the hotel from the front desk to the back door to get that cart, take it to the kitchen, clean it, and then go get the coffee urns from the coffee bar so you can make the coffee. That is a lot. Or you have to, that same process I just said, and then go to the dry storage closet, get the things for the gift shop, and then take them clean across the hotel to the gift shop and put them in the gift shop. That is a lot. When all she had to do was put that cart back where it goes. Like, it's going to take you a minute and a half extra to go run that cart back to the kitchen, clean it off, and then go back to your car and go home. Like, it wasn't going to take that much extra time. And, like, you're perfectly capable. You walk fine. You don't have a disability. You don't need a walker. You're not in a wheelchair or anything like that. You don't have anything extra that's making you not, um, that would make you that harder for you than it is for me, or as hard as it is for you as it is for me. And so it just makes me angry when stuff like that happens. Or I will go to get the cart and I can't find it, and then I eventually find it inside of the dry storage closet, that big storage closet with stuff on it. And then I have to move the things, and then I have to take it to the kitchen and get the coffee, or I have to move the things, get the things out of the dry storage, and then take it to the gift shop. Like, it's too much. When you could have just put it back when you were finished. And that kind of inconsiderate behavior and that kind of laziness, I'm just going to come right out and say it, that kind of laziness and inconsiderate behavior is unacceptable. And then it's making my job harder, and my job is already harder because I suffer this chronic illness and I walk with a mobility aid. So, like, it gets very frustrating. And then, so I've had all of this to deal with at my job because of the people at my job, the nature of my job, and my chronic illnesses, that when I get home, I'm completely drained and exhausted. And now I have all of these things that I need to be able to do at home that I can't do because I drained all of my energy at work. And then I have to come home and I have to rest first before I can do anything. And then I have to do everything in small bits and broken down into baby steps, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to do it after everything that went into me going to work and getting my job done. And so it's very, very difficult. And then I get people who say, well, why don't you just get disability then? Why don't you just get SSI then? I wish it was that easy to get those things. But it is not as easy as, oh, I am disabled, please give me benefits, and then they will hand you benefits. There is a whole process. There's a gigantic, thick application you have to fill out. You have to get information from your doctor sent to Social Security Administration so they can review it for your case. The first thing they look at is your income, so if you make too much money, you're automatically going to get a no. And since I got a raise, I am officially making too much money because I got a raise last year. So I'm already automatically making too much, so that's an automatic no. But even if I'm not making too much, there's still a whole process of determining disability and all of that I would have to still go through. And it takes a lot. You have to get medical records. You have to go see their doctor. You have to go see your own doctor. You have to have a bunch of stuff signed by different people and fill out this ginormous application and get that sent back to them. And then they're going to review it. They may ask for some other things, and then they may very well say no, and then you'll have to appeal. And if they say no again, then it's a court hearing. And then they may say no again, and then there's another appeal after that. And it's a huge, long, tedious, difficult process. And it can take you 3, 4, 5 years until they say yes for you getting benefits. And in the meantime, how are you supposed to live? What are you supposed to pay your rent with? What are you supposed to pay your bills with while they're expecting you not to have money so that you can be eligible for disability? Makes no sense. So please don't say that to people about, well, why don't you just get SSI or disability? Please don't say that because it's not that easy. It's really hard. And just try to understand. And if you don't understand, how about if you just don't say anything on a topic you know nothing about? Like that would be best if you just don't speak on things you don't know about. Um I hope that this sheds some light on these kinds of situations. Um Please, like, subscribe, all of the things, and I hope to see you on the next episode. Until next time, bye.